Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. We are from Group 4 and today we will explain to you guys about bankruptcy. As you can see on the slide, we have 4 group members. The first one is BADRUDDIN bin ZAKARIA. Second one is me, MUHAMAD SHAHIR HAFIZ bin ABDUL RASHID. And the others two are AMIRAH binti ALIAS and NURUL ATIKAH binti MUHAMAD Nazi. So, the topic for this study is measuring probability of bankruptcy for two utilities company, which is PBA Holdings Berhad and Petronas Gas, listed in Bursa Malaysia Stock Exchange by using Zeta model. First of all, we must know what is bankruptcy. Bankruptcy is a legal mechanism that requires persons or firms to be free of their obligations by also giving creditors an option for redemption and, on the other hand, applies to where the total liabilities exceed the reasonable value of assets. According to the Malaysian Department of Insolvency (MDI), Malaysia's cumulative bankruptcies cases from 2015 to 2019 are 84,805, including the Bursa Malaysia Stock Exchange business. Financial statements are generally used to assess the company's result and its management. And the last one, various ratios may be determined from the financial statement to determine the actual results and future expectation of the company involved. For the problem statement, financial loss can take the form of insolvency or bankruptcy. Insolvency is when a corporation is unable to satisfy its existing commitments as and when they are due. Therefore, in order to stay on the market, it is necessary for every organization to retain its financial. However, in order to ensure that PBA Holdings Berhad and Petronas Gas Berhad are sustainable, we have to calculate the financial results and forecast the company bankruptcy risk. There are two main objectives for this study. The first one is to analyze the financial results of PBA Holdings and Petronas Company over the year from 2015 to 2019. And the second one is we want to estimate the risk of bankruptcy for these two companies for the next 2 years. Now, the scope of study. This study is conducted by in one out of 8 industry in Malaysia marketplace, which is utilities sector. However, we only select 2 companies from 12 companies that listed in the utility sectors in Malaysia marketplace. Those 2 companies are PBA Holdings and Petronas Gas Berhad. And for your information, we gain the data by referring their annual report.
Okay, next is the research significance. This research is proceed as to measure the probability bankruptcy of the company. Then this action can lead the company to increase their financial performance in the future so that it can avoid from bankruptcy to occur. Okay, now we proceed for the literature review session, which is it have 2 categories. We divide to from previous study and from the existing method. For previous study, it said that bankruptcy is inability of the company to meet their payable arising either from ongoing operation fulfillment of which condition company continuity or from mandatory sampling. And Vitora also have said that bankruptcy is a constitutional right to protect from different conditions of credit. It allows consumer and company to start over when they earn more money than they make, and it also become unable to pay their debt. And the last one is the Zoponides also said that operation and financial problem are usually the root of problem resulting in bankruptcy, and financial ratio are only symptom and the first indicator to this problem. Okay, for the existing method, we can say that Lewis and Pendrell on 2000, he said that Z represent the equation value that is compared by principle or developed by Ullman. And Shim and Arjun also said that the bankruptcy model, which is Z score, is developed via the application of combination of traditional financial ratio and multiple discriminant analysis by Ullman. And Aziz Enda on 2004 said that bankruptcy prediction is received attention by many investor, creditor, borrower, company and government. So it's said to determine the time when the company are bankrupt or fall. And the last one is also being approved by Hussein and Pambakati on 2014 that both of them said that Zeta model is modification of version original Alman model that developed on 1886 years. Okay, now we proceed for the methodology. For methodology, we have two categories, which is one is data collection and the second one is Alman method. For data collection, we have used secondary data, which the data is obtained by the annual report. The annual report is obtained in the Bursa marketplace and the data is reliable and trusted. It is because it has been audited by the company. Besides, we also use Alman method. Alman method that we use is Alman method from formula 1968 years, which is the first formula that it have been published. And the Alman method that we use is Zeta model. Zeta model is modification of the Alman method, and this method is used to predict the bankruptcy of the two companies, which is Petronas and PBA, in the next 2 years. This method also have been tested on another company and it is successfully that state the financial distress of any company. For the Zeta model, we have used by defining the company that declare bankruptcy that we decide before, which is two company, and the coefficient were estimated. And the second one is the formula for this model is evaluating the risk of the bankruptcy being closed by the corporation. It is used by this equation, which is Zeta score Z equal to 1.2 x1 plus 1.4 x2 plus 3.3 x3 plus 0.6 x4 and 1.0 x5. Okay, now we will discuss about the representation of the X. X1. For the X1, it represents as the net working capital over total assets. And for the next one is X2. X2 represent as the return earning over total assets. X3 represent as earning before interest and tax over total assets. X4 represent the book equity over total liability. And the next one is X5. X5 is total sale over total assets. Okay, then to interpret the Z-score model, the parameter that has been used is company which are risk-free. If the Z-score greater than 3 will call as safe zone. And the company at a risk if the Z-score between 1.8 to 3, which call it gray zone. And the company that high risk of the bankruptcy if the Z-score is lower than 1.8 will call as distress zone. Therefore, the Z-score can be transformed into the bankruptcy probability based on the Thomasic formula below.
Okay, from this slide, we can see that the table 1 shows the PBA holding Berhad financial ratio result. Okay, from this table, we can see that PBA Holding Berhad is facing a tough period because the ratios continuing decline, which is the decrease in net working capital from 0.0464 in 2018 to negative 0.0072 in 2019, and had decreased 0.0547 in ratio retained earning to total asset. Okay, EBIT to total asset ratio also decreased to 0.019 for that year as a result of the 2019 loss. In 2019, PBA Holdings' weak performance was expressed in its share price, which in turn influenced the stock market value to the ratio of the of total liability. The sale to total asset ratio of PBA Holdings also decreased in 2019 due to the decline in total asset from the previous year. In table 2, Petronas Gas Berhad net working capital to total asset ratio, the ratio dropped in 2019 as a consequence of increasing rise in total asset from 2018 and 2019 respectively. The total asset that we get from the annual report for Petronas Gas Berhad increased from 18,423 ringgit and 98 cent in 2018 to 19,583 ringgit and 52 cent in 2019. For the remaining ratio, except for the stock market value to the total liability ratio, which shown a downward trend due to the rise in total liability, Petronas Gas Berhad keep them stable over the study period. Okay, it is clear from table 3 that for the previous 5 years, PBA Holding Berhad has been in the danger zone between distress and grey, which are both are height of bankruptcy risk. Okay, with a Zeta score of 1.1204, PBA Holding Berhad suffered the worst year in 2019, the lowest during the study period, largely due to the huge loss witnessed that year. However, Petronas Gas Berhad shown a solid number that result in placing the company in the safe zone for 2015 until 2018. But the score of Petronas Gas Berhad decreased to the grey area in 2019, primarily due to the rise in current and total liability that had an effect on both the net working capital to total asset ratio and the EBIT to total liability ratio. From table 4, we can see that PBA Holding Berhad began the study period with a 7.88% chance of bankruptcy over the next 2 years in translating the Zeta score into probability. But this probability increased to 24.59% in 2019 during the study period. The same can be said of Petronas Gas Berhad, where the firm began the study period with just a 1.82% chance of bankruptcy in the next 2 years, and the probability in 2019 increased to 5.13%. In conclusion, any shortfall in this company would not only have critical effect on this company shareholder, but it will also affect the utility sector in Bursa, because utility company listed in the Bursa marketplace play a crucial role in the utility industry as a whole in Bursa. The result obtained from this study shown that PBA Holdings Berhad is facing a worry out of its going bankrupt is high when reaching 24.59% in 2019. But Petronas Gas Berhad is in stable financial position with very low of bankruptcy probability, which is with only 5.13% in 2019.